What's going on, guys? It's your boy Burrow77 here with a little bit of a UCL draw reaction. Surprise, surprise to nobody. I kind of called Madrid was going to get Atleti. They put Barca on the other side of the bracket, trying to get a maybe El Clasico final here, but not surprising that Barca gets Benfica. I did not think that they were going to give them PSG and set them up on the same side of the bracket. First, I'm just going to kind of talk about what I think are going to be good matches and what I think is going to have some betting value. And then we're going to go over to DraftKings because they're one of the few sports books with two advanced lines already up. We're going to talk about some of these numbers and where I think we can find some value on different clubs to advance. And we'll possibly throw a little parlay together for our predictions. I think this is a decent draw for Arsenal. I know they're banged up. I know they're having problems with their strikers. I know they're really going through it with injury. PSV is not going to be a pushover at home, as we saw with Juve. PSV's undefeated in like 14 or 15 straight. I don't know, something crazy in their building. So this is going to be a tough road match here. If the Gunners can come away with a draw, I like them to be able to advance in the Emirates. If PSV comes away with a win, though, I think it's going to be tough. My big thing is PSV's not really built to sit low and kind of defend a lead. They're going to have to get out and continue to play their aggressive attacking style, which I don't know if it sets up great for a second leg at the Emirates versus this Arsenal squad, but we'll see who's available and who's healthy when this one comes around. I do like PSV, but ultimately I think Arsenal probably advances. But you never know. All you got to do is be able to string together 2 days of your best 90 minutes you can get. And PSV has the talent to compete with a little bit of a depleted Arsenal. Again, we'll have to see who's healthy when time comes around, but this should be a interesting matchup. I'll be interested to see where they have the handicap on this one. I expect Arsenal to be the favorites to advance, but PSV number may or may not have some value. Next up, we have Real Madrid versus Atleti. I'm obviously biased. You see the Madrid flag in the back. You've probably seen my content before. I'm clearly biased. I think Madrid will be the favorites to advance. First leg will be at the Bernabeu. Second leg will be at the Wanda Metropolitano. I think we have a good shot at advancing here. I'm not super scared of Atleti. I'm really not scared of Atleti with UCL refs instead of La Liga refs with more eyes, more attention on us. Think it's going to be a good game. I can easily see some goals going on in both of these matches. Starting strong on the right foot and getting a win at home in the Bernabeu is going to be key here. I think Madrid are probably going to be favorites to advance here over Atleti. Next up, we have PSG playing Liverpool. I think this is a good matchup, and I think that PSG probably has a shot with the form they're in right now. They're playing some of their best football this season. They continue to grow into the season and grow into the game. That said, they haven't really beaten anybody I rate, to be honest with you. Let's take a quick look at how PSG has done, especially in Champions League / facing what I would consider like better or a stepped up competition. I'm not going to super spend a bunch of time in the French league. So look, beaten Stuttgart 4-1. A little bit of a surprise away. This PSG team has definitely looked better even in their away fixtures recently. So I will give them a little bit of credit there, but not surprising. You beat a spineless Stuttgart team 4-1, a little higher scoring than I thought, but you know, that's a team you should be beating. Manchester City, I guess if you want to rate City, like, you know, it depends on what you think is City. I personally don't rate them super highly this year. You know, Madrid was able to dispatch them pretty easily. So, you know, whatever you think there, that's kind of my determining factor on whether or not you think PSG is good, because, you know, they should be beating Salzburg 3-0. a 1-0 loss to Byron in the Allianz. I guess that's a quality loss, but it doesn't move the needle for me really. A 1-2 loss at home to Atleti. Uh, Personally, I think Pool beats Atleti at home. So whether or not you want to stack PSG up against Pool, this is a game I think Pool wins at home. So I think that's a little bit of a disappointing result there for PSG. I think if there was a draw, you could maybe talk me into it a little bit more, as this is a good result, but I don't think losing at home 1-2 to Atleti is a good result. Again, drawing with PSV. Look, I rate this PSV squad. I like them. I think they're nasty. But PSG is supposed to be really, really good and locked down at the Parc des Princes. If you're comparing them with teams like Liverpool, and we're talking about going to Anfield, like that's a game you got to be winning if you want to be right there in the conversation with Pool, in my opinion. 2-0 loss to Arsenal away. I will say that Arsenal was better then. They had Saka. Not scoring a goal on the road is definitely a concern here for PSG, in whether or not I think that they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Liverpool. And a 1-0 win versus Girona at home, that's a result you should be getting. So whether or not you agree, I think that PSG is playing good football right now. I just think that this Liverpool team is going to be a major step up in class. I know that they're in good form. I know they're scoring a ton of goals right now, PSG. But going outside the Parc des Princes and needing a result at Anfield, I think is going to be tough. That shouldn't be underestimated. That said, after the first leg, if you handle your business in the Parc des Princes and you're going to Anfield with a lead, I think that puts Pool in a difficult position. Now, if Pool is able to manage a draw or a win at the Parc des Princes, I think PSG is going to be kind of washed. So that's one I'm excited to check the line on. I think that PSG will be kind of a popular underdog pick, but I want to see if the number is worth the squeeze there. I don't know if we're going to get almost 2-1, which is kind of what I think I would need to try and back PSG. I would need at least plus 200 or 3.0 for the international market. So that's what I'll be looking for. Next up, we have Bruges versus Aston Villa. I'm not going to lie, I already looked at this line. We were talking about it in Discord this afternoon. So I just want to throw out there that I'm pretty decent at handicapping this stuff, at least in regard to what DraftKings is hanging. I guess the line needed to be about 2 plus 230-ish for me to get some value, because I do think Bruges can advance here. The line was I said I wanted plus 235, and the line was plus 230. So I was pretty spot on with that one. I do think that there's value in Bruges here. Aston Villa struggle a ton on the road, and Bruges is really, really strong at home. The first game is going to be at home as well. So I think if Bruges manage to come out of there with a lead, that they set up to play on the counter, and what we saw versus Atalanta really well against a suspect Aston Villa midfield / back line, who will have to commit to being forward and playing on the front foot if they're playing from behind at home in the second leg. That said, I think that if Villa manages a draw, this one gets a lot more interesting. If Villa manages to win on the road in Belgium, I think this one's probably cooked. But if the Belgians are able to hang in there, if they can get a home win, even if it's just by a goal or even a home draw, I think they're going to be a very tough out, and I think there's a realistic chance they could advance over Aston Villa. Moving right along, we have Barcelona versus Benfica. I think this one's interesting. We obviously got a super high scoring match between these two that ended 4-5 going Barcelona's way. It was in a torrential downpour, really, really bad weather out there in Portugal. So it'll be interesting to see this rematch. It is nice that we already have seen it once, and the Benfica hung. Unfortunately, I think that Barcelona probably advances. Look, Benfica is going to have to make the most of their home games. If they can get a draw or a win there, I think that puts some pressure on Barcelona. But Barcelona is just playing well. I would love to sit here and shit talk them, but I think they got a pretty easy draw here. They definitely got the easier side of the bracket, in my opinion, because even if they win this one, I think that the winner of Dortmund, Leal, will probably fall to Barcelona. But hey, it's Champions League. All it takes is 180 minutes of your best football, and anybody can be beaten. So I'm not counting Benfica out, but I would probably agree that Barcelona are going to be the favorites, if not, minus 300 ish favorites here. Next up, we have Dortmund taking on Leal. I don't know what to make of this one. Leal has definitely been tough. I thought they got a nice result versus Feyenoord, even though Feyenoord struggled without Jimenez on the pitch. They got a bye, which is great for them. They have been kind of up and down in the French league, but they've also been kind of trying to rest and get some guys minutes off their legs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Dortmund is a team I can't make heads or tails of. They're pretty much out of the running for Bundesliga. So UCL is all they have. They also tend to perform a lot better in UCL than they do when in the Bundesliga this season. So I don't know. I have Dortmund maybe as slight favorites here, probably close to a coin flip game. So that's what I'm looking at for who to advance. If I had to gun to my head, if I had to pick one without looking at the line betting lines, I'm probably going to say Dortmund here, just because of their UCL pedigree. Next up, we have the top two teams in Germany, Bayern versus Leverkusen. This Bayern team is just tough to watch right now. Harry Kane came off at halftime of the last UCL match a little prematurely. Celtic kept chipping away. And then Bayern ended up subbing on Alphonso Davies, who's coming back from injury. Nice addition for them if he can get healthy and stay out there. And he ended up scoring the game-winning goal, or tying goal, but aggregate winning goal. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, last one recently just played away at Leverkusen, and Leverkusen dominated possession. They hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times. The fact they didn't score a goal was kind of a crime, but Bayern only took 2 shots. They kind of sat low and defended, which isn't normally their style. That's for the league title on the line. It was very good. It was a good away draw by Bayern. I think, this is going to be really interesting. Home and away, Bayern need to win this one at home if they want to deploy similar tactics that they used in the Bundesliga, because if Leverkusen's able to get a draw or any sort of result at the Allianz, it's going to be Leverkusen right in the driver's seat here. I think I know Bayern have the betting edge because I did look this up. I made a tweet earlier about taking some long shot stabs, and this is another one we were talking about in Discord a bunch. So, I know Bayern are the slight favorites to advance here, but I think Leverkusen are really live dogs. This is going to be interesting to see how Bayern's tactics unfold here, needing to be, in my opinion, going away with a win here from the Allianz. Lastly, we have Feyenoord versus Inter Milan. Feyenoord's going to be tough at home. Milan is less than inspiring on the road. They play for draws. It's smart. They're tactically sound. They know how to advance in the UCL. I think that Feyenoord's going to have an incredibly time coming back to the San Siro yet again, this time to play Inter instead of AC Milan. I think Inter is going to be massive favorites to advance here. So not much to talk about in that one. So here we are over at DraftKings. Let's check out this to advance market. Let's see who I would put some money on. I obviously already did the tweet where I like Bruges to advance here at plus 230. I think this is really good value. I was looking for about plus 235, hoping for up to plus 250. Now, the thing I will say is DraftKings is one of the only sports books with these markets out at the moment. I'm sure if I looked on offshores or somewhere else, I would find some comparable prices. This probably isn't going to be the most competitive number. Plus, as games get played domestically, players get injured, blah, blah, blah. We'll see form change. We do have quite a while until these games kick off, starting in 11 days. So you might be able to get more or less value sitting on it, but I would be comfortable betting Bruges here at the plus 230. Like I said, I was looking for plus 235. I'm not going to nitpick over 5 cents, but I would kind of wait until we see other sports books come to market here. So I'm going to leave that in the bet slip though, because we're going to kind of put a little bit of a parlay together here of all the teams I think are going to advance and that aren't just completely mispriced, so that we're not leaving anything to chance, because like I said, all it takes is 180 of your best minutes of football and any team can win in this competition. Milan super heavy favorites here, minus 1,000, minus 10 to 1. Not even gonna bother putting this in the parlay. Milan heavy favorites here, adding very little value to a parlay, even though we could just do all 8 clubs to advance. So we'll just jump right into Bayern versus Leverkusen. Bayern not as favorited as I thought. I would have thought we would have seen like minus 240, minus 260 on Bayern. Minus 195 is probably more accurate. I know Bayern hasn't been playing their best football lately, but I thought with their pedigree that they would command just a little bit more juice, which means that the Leverkusen number is kind of skitty here at plus 145. I still think it's good enough for a straight bet, but I think this is perfectly fine. I'll take Leverkusen to advance in my parlay here. And if you saw on Twitter that I have already bet this, I know my camera's blocking it. Let me see if I can do something about that real quick. Yep, I was able to shrink this thing down. As you can see here, that 2-pick parlay is plus 708. I went ahead and threw a free bet on that. And if you follow me on Twitter, I said, show me your upsets. Let's talk about this UCL draw. So if you want to chat shit to me, you can do it down here in the comments, or you can do it over on Twitter. It doesn't really matter. Happy to talk about these games with y'all. But let's jump back into some of the other lines we're seeing here, where we get to Dortmund versus Leal. I think Dortmund's going to advance. This is pretty close to a coin flip, kind of like I was saying. I think Dortmund to go ahead is probably the move here. I'm not discrediting Leal. I just, with Dortmund kind of out of the Bundesliga, with their European heritage, I don't know. I like Dortmund here. I could go either way, but I'm going to go Dortmund. If you want to go Leal, you're perfectly... I'm not going to try and talk you out of it. Leal's tough. Getting back into it, this is the one we definitely wanted to take a look at as far as straights go, but it's Liverpool versus PSG. I think this is a little short for Liverpool. I would have had Liverpool down in like the minus 260 to like minus 320 area. I don't think that this is enough value for me on PSG as a straight or even in the parlay. Like I said, I think that the only way PSG is going to be able to advance is they have to win this first game at the Parc des Princes. And even then, unless they win it by multiple goals, which I think is going to be a struggle, I think Pool is probably going to have this one. PSG winning the first leg by a goal is definitely going to make Liverpool uncomfortable, but I don't think so uncomfortable that they can't surmount it. If PSG is somehow able to win by 2 or 3 goals, then I think that going back to Anfield is going to have some serious value. If you want to get involved in this game, I don't hate the draw no bet here at minus 130. The plus 140 for PSG money line feels a little thin. I don't know. Let's let the public get a hold of this one before we start getting into that. But I'm going to take Liverpool to advance here. Minus 195 is obviously short, but like it's not nearly as short as the minus 10 to 1 we saw. for Inter. So I have no problem taking the value here on Liverpool at minus 195 to add into the parlay. Next up, it's Madrid versus Atleti. I'm not even going to bother talking about this. You know where my bias is. Madrid, a little shorter, yeah, I guess a little bit longer than I thought. But yeah, just not going to spend too much time on this one. Add in Madrid. It's Madrid by a million. They're winning Champions League, by the way. I don't know what that ticket is. I know it was 7-1 before the last leg got underway. So if you want to get a piece of Madrid, they have the harder side of the bracket. So you're probably still getting good value on them. Benfica versus Barcelona. Look, see, Barcelona is very heavily favorited here. I think this is too long for Barcelona. I would have thought minus 350 ish was probably the neighborhood we were looking in after checking out the Bayern and the Liverpool and the Madrid numbers all at minus 195. I think Barca is going through, but I'm not going to put them in the parlay at this little value because, again, 180 minutes of Benfica's best football is going to be enough to beat Barcelona. So we'll see there. I'm not going to add that into the parlay. And last but not least, we have PSV versus Arsenal. Yeah, this is about the neighborhood. I kind of expected the Benfica Barcelona match, and I think this is probably on brand and on market for Arsenal versus PSV. I really hope PSV can advance, but Arsenal probably does advance. Minus 450, though, with their injuries and all that stuff. I'm not going to get involved in that and add it to the parlay. So of the 8 teams available, we like 5 of them, and we like 3 favorites and 2 dogs, or at least I like 3 favorites and 2 dogs, and more of 1 coin flip, 2 favorites. So if you parlayed all that together, you get plus 3173. Bet of $10 would return you $317.30. I might take a flyer on that just for fun, just for entertainment's sake. But thank you all for tuning in as always. Feel free to do with that information what you want. You can chat shit down here in my comments. You can come at me on Twitter. You can bet it if you like. But yeah, I just figured we'd go over some of that. Figure you guys would like to know a couple of my takes on this UCL draw. Be sure to like and subscribe right here on youtube.com/@Burrows772. Check out the links in the description for the Discords. And if you need a place to bet offshore, feel free to sign up with my promo code linked right down below for BetUS, who also brings you great soccer gambling content with Flash, my boy Brad Thomas, who's been on here, myself last year when I did their La Liga show. So love BetUS, happy to be partnered with them. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you at the window as always. Folks out. Doses. We outside!